Vintage video of Nancy Pelosi in her early years. She's the most powerful Democrat to lead her party in the U.S. House, and some argue the most powerful House Speaker ever. Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, however, is hanging it up, saying she won't seek re-election next year. And this news is coming on the exact same day. Here at home in Minnesota, State Senator Sandy Pappas said she will leave the legislature in 2026 after 42 years. These women, Democratic leaders, are now calling it a career at a time when the Democratic Party had to take a hard look at age and how long folks should be serving before they pass the torch to the next generation. Danny talked with Sandy Pappas as she reflects on her service.
Only a handful of legislators in Minnesota history have served as long as Senator Sandy Pappas.
It's sad because the legislature does become your family.
But after 4 decades at the Capitol, Pappas has decided to retire next year.
At a certain point, you just decide it's really time.
It's the same reason she ran for office in the first place.
It was my time.
The year was 1984.
I'm Sandy Pappas. I'm the DFL endorsed candidate for the state legislature.
That fall, Pappas won a seat in the House by ousting DFL incumbent Frank Rodriguez in a primary.
I think it's between the old style of politician, kind of one of the good old boys, and a new breed.
Pappas was an outlier at the time.
I was the radical feminist from St. Paul, and now everybody's just like me.
In 1990, Pappas won an election to the state Senate and even ran for St. Paul mayor in 1997, losing to incumbent Norm Coleman.
We may not have won today, but what we put together over the last 10 months will continue.
After the defeat, Pappas returned to the state Senate, where she was heavily involved in education issues.
Why are we always forcing our school districts to make do?
Eventually, Pappas rose to become Senate president in 2013.
Is there any discussion on House File 1127?
And her influence only accelerated from there.
Some of my best accomplishments were in the past 10 years, and I would have missed out on that if I'd retired earlier.
Pappas says she's most proud of passing legislation around women's economic security, expanded retirement programs, and the Minnesota DREAM Act, which allows undocumented students to access financial aid for college.
That was probably my most emotional bill that I passed, because you had these high school students who desperately wanted to go to college.
Whether you agreed with her policies or not, Pappas's voting record has been remarkably consistent over the years.
We need the ERA because women still get fired for being pregnant.
Pappas currently chairs the Capital Investment Committee, where she works across the aisle with Republicans to fund infrastructure projects across the state.
Water, sewer, roads, the boring things that most people, but essential.
She hopes to get one more bonding bill done next year before she retires.
What would be your advice to the person who's elected to your seat next?
Relationships, and do the background, and then make sure you know what you're doing.
Danny Spiewak, KARE 11 News.
Good advice I've heard from people from both parties retiring. Pappas is actually tied with State Senator Ann Rest as the longest-serving current member of our legislature, and Ann Rest has already announced she'll be retiring next year as well.